Hi and welcome to my sewing room slash general craft room. I thought it might be fun to give you a little bit of an insight into how I've got my workspace set up, how I've got my room set up, how I make storage work for me, what doesn't work, and just to share in general the sort of kit and the setup that I've got and what works for me. First things first, a cup of tea or coffee, always something nice to keep me going. So this room is a very small bedroom, really, like a box bedroom. It's never been a bedroom, it was actually a bigger room to start with, and this wall here was put in as a stud wall. So this room was completely new. I didn't have a sewing room before, so when it came to furnishing it, it basically meant a trip to IKEA to get some furniture. I did have a few ideas of what I wanted. I wanted a really clean space in terms of the colour. I know it's very messy. And fresh, so I knew I wanted some white furniture. I love the look of white, especially in a workspace. So the main piece of furniture really is my desk, and it is the most used, the most useful. I went for one with the ones where you can choose the legs separately to the top, so mix and match basically. And I've just got some really plain metal legs here, excuse all the stuff under the table. And I went for just a really large surface area in terms of the desk, and it is really useful. I've got a big A3 cutting mat here and that stays out all the time, and I've got plenty of space for that. I've got my sewing machine, and I've also got another little bit of space there to work, so the size of this desk works perfectly for me. And I've even got a little bit of room at the side for some drawers there, which I did already have elsewhere in the house. Since we are talking about my desk, let me show you my desk setup, what I've got, what I like, what I recommend. I've got this really big plasticky mat underneath my sewing machine here, and it works so well at protecting the table. It looks a little bit grubby, it's not really dirty, it's just been stabbed with pins so many times. When you're sewing, you do tend to lay your fabric on the table and you'll put the pins through it. So if I didn't have my table protected, my table would be marked so badly. So this mat has been really helpful. I'm not sure whether that was from IKEA, but you can buy them online generally. I tend to go to eBay for a lot of stuff, a lot of supplies, so you would get just a see-through desk protector or something like that if that's what you're looking for. My sewing machine, I'm always asked what sewing machine I've got. This one is the Genome 5060 QDC, whatever that means, I have no idea. It's not a basic machine, but it's also not anything massively fancy. My first sewing machine was the one before this, and it was a very basic machine. So this is a little step up, a little upgrade. It has things like an automatic thread cutter. It has a forward and backwards button so that it does it automatically when you start sewing. You want it to strengthen your stitch at the start and the end of your seam. This is a really clever one in that you can use it without a foot pedal as well, which is really nice. It has a start and stop. You would just unplug your foot pedal and you can use it manually by hand, just tell it when to start and stop. I don't know what else I can say about this machine other than I do like it a lot. Now that I've had things like the automatic thread cutter, I would not like to go back to not having that. Same with the start and stop. It also works in that when you take your foot off the pedal, the needle stays down, which is helpful for when you are turning corners and stuff or have to rearrange your fabric. But yeah, I really like this machine. If you're looking for a machine, I would say ignore all the fancy stitches because the chances are you're not going to use them. If you're just wanting to sew basic things, you're going to use a straight stitch and you're going to use a zigzag stitch. Yeah, you'll have a bit of fun, play about with the other stitches, but I really don't think many people use them. So try not to be swayed by something with hundreds of extra stitches unless you're specifically looking for something to do, like little bits of embroidery. But I don't think many people do, so I would say try not to focus on that too much and just buy the best that you can afford, really. I have said it a million times, but I love fairy lights, so I've got fairy lights in most rooms of my house. Love them in here, makes it super cozy. Look at that autumn scene out the window. Doesn't it just look beautiful? It's just made even more better with some fairy lights there twinkling. So I love having fairy lights. Because I've got the big light behind me, I'm often, like, if it was on, I'd be working in my shadow. So a desk lamp is really important and something I would certainly highly recommend. This is my desk lamp by Serious Readers. It's a really heavyweight lamp, which I love. The one I had before was a clamp on the side of the table, and every time I went to move it, it fell off. So it's an absolute nightmare. This one is not only really heavy duty, I really like the look of it. I think it's quite stylish. You can change the brightness of the lamp, so it's going really bright there. But if I just want to work away cosily when I'm on the sewing machine, I can turn it down. If I'm doing something like sewing on buttons and I want it to be really bright, then I can turn it up, and there's no shadows here because it's right in front of me, which is great. It's also working really well at the moment to keep my string of hearts from trailing on the desk. This seems to grow so quickly, and I've got my plant draped over my light there. I'm working with Serious Readers at the moment, and there's a link below this vlog. If you want to go to the website, they will give you £100 off one of their lamps. They also do amazing looking floor lamps as well, which I think would be really useful. And I've just got a couple of things on my desk, like a binder box here for holding notebooks and stuff. I can put my ruler in it, but to be honest, I'm using it every day anyway, so that tends to stay out. I've got a little tin here that's got my bobbins in. Every now and then I'll replace them all, fill them all up, and it's in the cutest little tin, if I can show you it. Snoopy, I'm a big Snoopy fan. Cute. Yeah, and I've got a little pot there with my stationery in it, pens, scissors, even stick my rotary cutter in there when I'm not using it. And completely optional is a little place for your furry friend to sit. My cat Tilly often joins me up here on the sewing table, and the sewing machine going away doesn't seem to bother her at all, and it's really lovely to have her up here when I'm working, and I can just see her peeping through the sewing machine there. So cute. Another top tip I have for you, which I don't know whether people, I don't know, maybe wouldn't think of this or overlook it, is what you've got on your window. I've got some roller blinds up here. Let me show you a little bit better. I'm getting my feet all caught up in my sewing machine pedal. So my room is south facing, which means it does get the sun coming in, and it's really important that I can see what I'm doing and not be blinded. So to have roller blinds is really useful because it means I can just have the blinds down as far as I need, and I've still got light coming in the rest of the window, so I'm not making the room completely dark. So I think that a horizontal blind is a lot more useful than a vertical one in this instance in a workroom. Let's get these open because it's a bit of a dull day outside, and let's let the light in today. It's also quite useful if I'm taking product photography and the lighting is just not quite right. Sometimes I do need to block out a little bit of light if it is just too bright and distorting my photos a little bit. I have always had pin boards and magnet boards in my bedrooms when I was growing up. And I think it's just such a nice thing. I am a bit of a hoarder, I keep little bits and pieces, but I think it's a lovely way for someone to sort of show their personality as well, just the little bits and pieces that they have. I haven't really added to this in a long time because it's already full, but I've got my old cat there, just postcards, photographs, sayings, quotes, little key rings and crystals and all sorts of things on there that I've just gathered over the years, and I just love the fact that I've got somewhere to put stuff. And then on my walls I've got things that friends have sent me, made me. I've got little postcards, I've got a pin badge holder that I made years ago full of badges, just pretty little things just to brighten up my workspace. Saves me getting bored. I mean, I do spend a lot of time in here. You want your workspace to look nice and to be a nice environment. Another thing that I would recommend is having a radio or something to play music on, because it is nice to have some music on from time to time. I would also recommend bringing up your iPad or your computer so that you can put some vlogs on to keep you company. Because this was such a small room, one of the ways to maximise the space was to cut into the eaves here and put storage in. So I've got 3 storage cubby holes there, and it really has given me so much storage space. I don't have a lot of floor space for more units or anything, and because it's in the eaves there, you've got the ceiling starting to curve, not curve, to slant, so I wouldn't fit a tall unit in there at all either. So the cubby holes are brilliant, and I think there's just something nice about filling in little cubby holes, isn't there? So I've got books in here that are old ones or just pretty ones, and they're all for scrapbooking and paper projects, journaling and paper crafting. I've got like music books, old dictionaries, just ones that I love to use for cutting up or folding. I mean, speaking of which, there's one here that I've cut with a die cut machine and turned it into some bunting. So you've got dictionary pages, music sheets, whatnot. And I've also got a nice basket of yarn there. I love baskets for storing stuff, so that's a little metal basket that I've just put on its side. I think that works really well. Got a couple of things there. I've got a little succulent. I've got quite a few plants here in my sewing room actually, and that's some dried hydrangea petals, which I have used occasionally in my journal. And I've got a massive jar there at the back which had, I think it was pickled onions in it, but it's huge. Let me put my hand there for scale. It is a really big jar. But I saw the jar and I was like, oh, that would make great storage for yarn scraps. So here we are. And I've just got little bits and pieces and another basket there with more yarn and another plant over here. I have got a set of drawers here. I've got a lot of paper crafting stuff in the top one, washi tapes, stamps, papers and stuff, and other various craft supplies in the other drawers. Another really good thing that I would recommend is one of these trolleys. I got mine in Hobbycraft. I know IKEA does them as well. I did look at the IKEA one and it was smaller than the Hobbycraft one, so I thought Hobbycraft one, best bet for me, more storage. This one came with accessory packs, so I think I chose this one that had like hooks on it. That one's got a thing on it there for, I can't remember what that's actually for. That one there, I've just fixed it. Yeah, you could put, I thought I could put rolls of ribbon on that, or even rolls of washi because it comes off, and then a little shelf at the bottom there as well. So they were just extras you could buy and they hang on the side. But I've got my journaling supplies in here. So I've got notebooks and stickers on the top. I've got a whole big jar there full of wax seals. As you can see, it's covered in dust, so I haven't used it for a while. Old journals that are full, and I've got some stamps on the bottom there too, and pencil cases hung on the hooks there. But these are really handy, these trolleys, especially if you're going to be crafting around the house. You can move it around with you. One of my favourite pieces of furniture in here is my big Billy bookcase. I really love the thought of having my bolts of fabric displayed like this, and it looks like a little fabric shop. I also find it really inspiring to be able to see my fabrics as well, and I've just got a selection there. I do actually have more bolts on the floor down here. There's quite a few there, which just shows that I've got too much fabric. And I've also got rolls here as well, so there's quite a bit of fabric, but I do sell fabric, so yes, it's for sale in my Etsy shop, most of it. I've got a thin shelf at the top, which is useful, and cupboards at the bottom which store things like zips, thread, ribbons, tissue paper, cards, odds and ends. But it's nice to have the doors at the bottom so that you can cover away the less pretty stuff. I've got my my spray bottle here so I can look after my plants as well. And I've got just nice little artwork on the wall, pretty things, inspiring things. I've got a couple of shelves up here and boxes which store various things, from more ribbons, twine, fittings like keyring things and stuff like that, and some pretty little pictures that I've picked up over the years. Just random bits and pieces. Sewing room definitely needs its own iron board, and I've got this one here, and I got the cover in IKEA, which I love. Again, it's that top gingham. I think that's a really pretty cover, and I think it goes really nicely in my room as well, because I've got so much colour in the form of the fabrics, my crochet blanket, etc. I think it's nice to have accessories and furniture that are not fighting for attention. So having the white furniture in this room I think has worked really well. Just means that it doesn't get, I mean it's busy room, but it doesn't get too busy because the furniture and the sewing machine are all quite plain. And the walls I kept really plain colour as well. They're just an off-white. I just wanted a really like calming space. I also have some built-in wardrobes in this room. I hope you can see that okay. Just to give you context there. So I've got mirrored wardrobes here. I like mirrored wardrobes. I find that the mirrors just help add light and space to a room. So I've got in here more IKEA drawers in the form of these wire mesh ones, which I found really handy for fabric. They're perfect. I've got my fabric categorised sort of in terms of florals, what's in that one? Dots, ginghams, checks. I've got novelty ones up the top there, Christmas and metallic and plains at the bottom there. I've got some deeper ones at the bottom with just odds and ends in them, and I've got some shelves up the top. There's a lot of paper crafts and stuff in those ones, and then over the other side I've got shelves with more fabric, more stuff, paper crafting things. Yeah, it's not particularly tidy, but it's fabric and cushion inserts and stuff, and big rolls of interface and things that are not pretty, that are not for sitting out. But I think the cupboard works really well. It's nice to be able to have it all tidied away so that it's not on show and have the prettier stuff on show. I feel like it looks really confusing because you're seeing the mirror image of the room in the mirror, but that's the mirror, whereas the shelves are on the other side. I think I've shown you basically all the stuff that gets used in here on a pretty much a daily basis when I'm sewing. One thing I would say is that having a lot of open shelves and even shelves on the wall and my little cubby holes, and because I'm working with fabric all the time, it can get quite dusty in here, just the fibres from the fabric. So that is one sort of downside, but there's no way of avoiding that really. I mean, even the table and like the windowsill get covered in it too, but it's just something to bear in mind if you want extra open shelving, that it's going to need cleaning a lot and dusting a lot if you were to be using it in a decorative kind of way. But it's a really nice space up here. I love coming up here. I always feel inspired and motivated to make and create. I think just having the fabrics on show, the wools on show, my machine is just sat out all the time, so if I just want to do something really quickly, it's just nice because everything's already out, the cutting board's out, the rotary cutter's to hand. So having my own sewing space, it really helps with productivity as well. I used to be a kitchen table business owner and do all my sewing at the kitchen table, which was fine, it was great. I had a big kitchen table, but then of course it means you have to tidy it away every night, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm so glad I've got a sewing room. I'm so grateful for it. I know I'm very lucky. I know not everybody has that space, but yeah, I certainly do appreciate it and I make the most of it. And even when I am doing other things like card making, journaling, scrapbooking, painting, whatever, I'll set up here and do it. It's such a great workspace, and I can just move the sewing machine if I need to, if I need extra space to work on as well. And the nicest bit is probably that my cat Tilly comes and goes, and she just comes and sits right here behind the sewing machine, so it's a nice little bit of company. It's also next to the radiator, so I think that's why she likes it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my workspace and what I use, how I use it, what works for me. If you've got any questions about anything, feel free to leave me a comment and I'll try and get back to you with the information that you want. I'm not going to link to every product because I think IKEA may well have changed some of the things. All of my furniture is from IKEA, the desk, the chair, the 2 sets of drawers and the Billy bookcase. and I know that some of the drawers have changed, so you would maybe not find the exact same ones, but you would find something very similar if you were looking for stuff. But yeah, if there's anything else you want to know or anything I haven't covered, feel free to ask as well. But I think for now I had better get back to work.